June 1863, after more than 2 years of bloody conflict, the Confederate Army of Northern Virginia, Robert E. Lee commanding, slips across the Potomac to begin the invasion of the North. It is an army of 70,000 men. They move slowly behind the Blue Ridge, using the mountains to screen their movements. Their main objective is to draw the Union Army out into the open where it can be destroyed. Late in June, the Union Army of the Potomac, 80,000 men, turns north from Virginia to begin the great pursuit up the narrow roads across Maryland and into Pennsylvania. General Lee knows that a letter has been prepared by the Southern government, a letter which offers peace. It is to be placed on the desk of Abraham Lincoln, President of the United States, the day after Lee has destroyed the Army of the Potomac, somewhere north of Washington.
The greatest battle ever fought in the Western Hemisphere began as a clash over shoes. At dawn on July 1st, a Confederate infantry officer led his men toward the little crossroads town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, within view of a Lutheran seminary whose high cupola offered a fine prospect of the surrounding farms and rolling hills. There was rumored to be a supply of shoes at Gettysburg, and the footsore rebels were there to commandeer them. The South came in from the North that day, and the North came in from the South. On the outskirts of town, the Confederates ran headlong into General John Buford's Union cavalry. While both sides sent couriers pounding off for reinforcements, Buford tried desperately to hold his ground. But the Confederates finally overwhelmed him and pushed the Union forces back toward town.
People were running here and there, screaming that the town would be shelled. No one knew where to go or what to do. My husband went to the garden and picked a mess of beans, for he declared the rebels should not have one. Sally Broadhead.
Every Confederate and Union division in the area now converged on Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. By mid-afternoon, Confederate troops occupied Gettysburg and Union forces had been driven back south of the town. There, Major General Winfield Scott Hancock managed to rally the fleeing troops into defensive positions on Culp's Hill and Cemetery Ridge. A sign near the cemetery's gateway read, "All persons found using firearms in these grounds will be prosecuted with the utmost rigor of the law."
Good morning, sir.
General Longstreet, good morning.
The Federal forces are concentrating.
Yes, and I've confirmed some of your man Harrison's information. Their new commander is definitely George Meade.
I have reports of Union cavalry in Gettysburg.
Cavalry?
Mm-hmm.
General Hill reports only militia.
He did. Well, it's cavalry, and when there's cavalry, the infantry will be close behind. Meade's closing fast. It could be he's thinking of swinging around behind us.
Behind, in front, the direction does not matter. We will fight him wherever he is.
Probably got old Abe Lincoln on his back trying to throw us out of Pennsylvania.
There's a devil to pay.
Can you hold?
I reckon I can.
Now, John, he probably has about 10,000 men coming down that road, wouldn't you say?
Yes, sir. There'll be a lot more behind him.
Well, we've got about 20,000 we can put in the field. We're in very good shape, I think.
For a while, sir.
Sending messages to all my commanders to come to this place with all possible speed. Lovely ground.
Not so, sir.
Now let's go surprise Harry Heath.
General Heath?
Sir, beg to report.
Yes.
Very strange, sir. The situation is very confused.
What's happened?
Well, sir, I moved in this morning as directed. I thought it was only a few militia, but it was dismounted cavalry, sir. Well, there weren't all that many, and the boys wouldn't hold back. I thought we shouldn't ought to be stopped by a few dismounted cavalry, but they made a good fight. They really put up a scrap, sir.
Go on, General.
Well, sir, they wouldn't leave. My boys got the dander up. We deployed the whole division and went after them. We just about had them running, then all of a sudden they got up infantry support. We got pushed back. Then we reformed and tried again. We couldn't just leave it to them, sir. But now there's more Yankee infantry coming up. I don't know how many, but I don't know what else we could have done. It started out as a minor scrap with a few militia, and the next thing I know, I'm tangled with half the Union Army.
Things will get out of control, Mr. Heath. That is why we have orders. Is it possible you could have misunderstood them?
No, sir.
Can you identify those people?
The infantry is the first corps, the Black Hats. There's another corps coming up we still haven't identified.
I must have all possible information on the enemy's strength. Major Taylor.
Sir.
I want you to ride forward yourself to the highest position and observe, and do be careful.
Yes, sir.
Sir, shall I attack?
No, sir. We are not yet ready for a full engagement. General Longstreet is not up with his corps.
Sir, the enemy is disorganized. If we throw in all our forces now in the field, we will have the advantage.
Is that our artillery?
Yes, sir.
I cannot imagine what has happened to General Stewart. I have heard nothing. Do you understand me, sir?
Yes, sir.
I have no idea what lies in front of me. It may be the entire Federal Army.
Rebels are coming down the road from the north. Instructions, sir.
That'll be Ewell's corps. They're trying to flank us. Gotta meet him. Horses will go online. See Colonel Devon. Tell him to get up that way as quick as he can. We'll get Gamble's boys back in the saddle and be there shortly.
Double quick, boy.
Yankee cavalry, sir. Buford's brigades. General Early is right behind him and will be on the field within the hour. Sir. Yeah.
General Early may be attacked by half the Federal Army within the hour. Is that Pender's artillery?
Yes, sir. He's up now, sir. 4 batteries in position with 2 more in reserve. Sir, with General Rhodes attacking up there and Pender and I, we have 3 divisions, sir. We can sweep them.
Hey, General, sir. I saw only 2 Federal Corps, 1st and 11th. And General, I saw Early's lead columns coming down north of Rhodes' lines. He'll be engaged any minute, sir.
So we've got 20,000 infantry coming down almost behind the Union lines. It's perfect, sir.
The battle starts west of Gettysburg. Union General John Buford's cavalrymen shoot at lead elements of Confederate General Henry Heath's division before falling back as Heath advances. Buford holds near Gettysburg until General John Reynolds' First Corps arrives. Infantry against infantry, fighting intensifies on both sides of the Chambersburg Pike. As the highest-ranking Union officer on the field, Major General John Reynolds escalates the battle as he desperately tries to support Buford. While ordering a Wisconsin regiment forward, he is shot in the back of the neck and killed, just as the battle begins to escalate. Confederate General Robert Rhodes' division arrives on Oak Hill. Though his division is twice the size of his opponent, Rhodes' initial attacks are poorly coordinated and repulsed. Then, General Jubal Early's division arrives from the northeast. Despite Union reinforcements, Rhodes and Early managed to break their right flank. Yankees are fighting a losing battle on the left, too. After a savage firefight in Herbst Woods, they fall back to Seminary Ridge. Cannons and small arms blast the attacking rebels, reinforced by Dorsey Pender's division. But numbers come to bear, and the Union line collapses. Some escape via an unfinished railroad bed. Others are trapped in Gettysburg streets. The defeated Yankees reform on Cemetery Hill, where General Howard has left a brigade and an array of cannons. The Confederates probe, but do not attack. It was one of the bloodiest days of the war, but the worst was yet to come. By the afternoon, the Confederates have wrapped around the Union position, which now resembles a giant fishhook. But the Federals occupy the high ground, and General Meade's interior lines will allow him to easily reinforce threatened sectors.
During the battle, the artist Alfred Woad sketched the action, sending his drawings back to New York for engraving. Meanwhile, Sam Wilkeson of the New York Times filed dispatches, sitting next to the fresh grave of his son. Lee arrived in the middle of the afternoon, set up headquarters, and urged Ewell to renew the attack before nightfall. Ewell chose not to. His men needed rest. By the end of the day, the Union Army held the high ground. Rather than attack it headlong, Confederate General Longstreet wanted to swing around the Union position and take a stand between Meade's army and Washington. Then let the Union attack. Without knowing the enemy's strength, Lee overruled Longstreet. "No," said Lee, "I'm going to whip them here, or they are going to whip me."